Okay, good morning everyone. It's 8:30. I'll open the meeting for the 30th of September. I've got an apology for lateness from Taku. Everybody else here, so I'll move that. Seconded by, thank you, Councillor Trillin. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. No public forum today. Any conflicts of interest? No. I've had no notification of extraordinary business. So that moves to confirmation of the minutes of the 26th of August, and Councillor Duncan's got a change for us.
Yes, Your Worship. I actually toyed with the idea of not coming in today because when I read the minutes of the 29th of July, 5th of August and 19th of August, Councillor Morell seconded everything and Ross Liggett moved everything. So just the two of them were doing everything, so I thought, wow. So perhaps I don't think that's actually accurate. I think other people were involved.
I think that's been changed. It's been altered. Yeah.
Prime Minister's press conference.
So thank you for that. So I will put the minutes. All those in favour? Seconded by Councillor Liggett. Yep. So all those in favour? Yes, carried. I've got no report today. It's been a quiet month with what's been going on. Taku hasn't got anything because he's coming in late, obviously. So I'm going to move straight to Councillor Morell for the wastewater treatment plant. Could you just do that with your mic on?
I'll move that the report be received and the recommendations adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Hayward. Any issues? No? All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Now move to Councillor Liggett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move that Council confirm the recommendations of the Tipuna Porirua meetings of the 2nd of September and the 23rd of September.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ford has seconded. Any issues? All those for? All those against? Carried. So that comes to our first report, 11.1, our annual report. And you'll note I'm going to move the recommendation with the changes from the auditor that you have attached. So it will be to adopt the annual report and summary annual report of the year ended 30 June 21 in accordance with Section 98 of the Local Government Act 2002 with the tabled changes. So thank you, Councillor Trillin. Seconded it. I'll hand it over now to Warren Allen. Would you like to come up? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, councillors. The Audit and Risk Committee has continued with a busy and detailed agenda since I reported to you at the similar council meeting this time last year. And during a very complex agenda, we spend considerable amount of time on the council's annual report process. And we have detailed discussions on looking at the external auditor's plan, the consistency of the accounting policies. Now, what that means is that we're wanting to make sure that the financial statements are prepared on the same basis as what has been used in previous years, and we can confirm that that is the case. We also spend considerable time looking at the major judgment areas in which your management make judgments in preparing the financial statements. And these are in asset valuations, and you'll note that this year the three water assets have been revalued. Also, revenue recognition is a difficult area, particularly as it relates to rates. So that is another high judgment area, and also provisions and liabilities. So the Audit and Risk Committee is comfortable with all of those areas of major judgment. We spend time looking at the final draft of the financial statements and the annual report, and we did that at our last meeting, and also the considerable amount of data that exists in the service reporting area. This year we spent time looking at the final wording of the audit report, And it is quite different, the audit report this year to previous years. So we spent time gaining an understanding as to the reasons why EY, on behalf of the Auditor General, had to issue a qualified audit opinion. And we never ever like to issue qualified audit opinions very lightly. But I think it's worthy to note that the financial statements are not being qualified. It's details within the service reporting. And it's also important to note that it doesn't relate to matters that are within Council's control. So it's from information that you received from third parties. So finally, Mayor, the Audit and Risk Committee, and it's important in saying this to remember that Council has absolute responsibility to approve this 2021 annual report, but the Audit and Risk Committee are not aware of any matters that should prevent Council approving this annual report, including the financial statements. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. We might hear from Grant Taylor, our auditor, first, and then I'll open it up for questions.
Morena, Worship. So Warren's mentioned the qualification in the audit report. I'd echo his remarks in that the qualification, while there are two limbs to it and a third limb which points to the comparative information for the effective performance measures, there's an enormous body of work which supports the key judgments in the financial statements, and we've been able to reach a satisfactory conclusion in respect of that key part of the annual report. The service performance reporting, where Council is dependent on Wellington Water to provide information, I would like to signal the degree of qualification that is reflected in Porirua's annual report this year is lesser than was reflected in Wellington Water's annual report last year. That's an indication of the significant progress Wellington Water has made during the intervening 12 months to really invest in some more reliable information systems which capture the work that their crews do on your reticulation systems. The one that's likely to endure the ability to assess water loss in the water supply system accurately across the region is an issue that's going to be with us for some time and is contingent on capital decisions around metering. The other addition in the audit report you may see this year, if you get to the end of it, it's getting quite long. We do need to draw attention to the role Warren plays both for Porirua and for the Auditor General, where he also chairs their independent audit and risk committee. So that is drawn out in our report this year. But like Warren, happy to respond to any questions. But yeah,
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Hayward.
Thank you for the report. Obviously, I'm going to support the recommendation based on the assurance that there's no reason to oppose this report and the opinion. But I wanted to get a bit more question from the auditor here with regards to the performance indicators from Wellington Water around water loss. This is a perennial issue. Did this issue not come up in the previous previous annual report? And it's because I'm trying to understand why it's a qualification if it's this time and only this time as opposed to previous years.
Yep, no, it's a valid question and one we've spent a lot of time, including a 7 a.m. call with the Auditor General this morning on. The situation at this time last year was when we opined on Porirua's annual report, Wellington Water's audit had not been progressed very far. And so we're in a position of being able to label that information as unaudited, which it was in your annual report last year. And our audit report did include a paragraph which drew readers' attention to that status. Subsequent to our issuance of that report, we obviously became aware of the results of the Wellington Water audit and the qualification that was attached to those performance measures. And that led to the qualification of all other affected councils. So I guess Porirua benefited from being ahead of the game in terms of getting the annual report signed off. And so, you know, should we have qualified last year? Maybe. And that change of circumstances also referenced in the audit report this year, just flagging for readers that the reliability of those comparative measures, the reader ought to take account of that qualification on Wellington Water's accounts last year.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Duncan?
Yeah, look, it's just information that I'm after, really. It's on page 125 when we talk of guarantees. It refers to PCC as a guarantor of the LGFA. And I wonder, under the water reforms, what role will the LGFA have and what we've actually got at stake there?
Let me give some answer to that. It's not known at this stage. There's some water to go under the bridge. Can I use that analogy? Before that is decided, but there's certainly some negotiation going on around whether it would be appropriate for the LGFA would have to change, obviously, but it might it may change to enable it to extend its role to the water entities, but I think that's some long way off.
Sorry. Grant, can you tell us why the water figures have been like this for the last 5-6 years? Why all of a sudden the audit would change this year when every other year this has happened? Like, is this a new auditor or what's happened?
Not a new auditor, but I guess if things are not addressed in a time frame, they escalate in terms of the degree of importance the Auditor General places on them. And so in respect of water loss, I think it is hard to argue that that's not an important piece of information to understand about your retriculation network. And while we can look at why the audit report didn't reference it in previous years, I don't think it actually changes the fact that it's actually a key piece of information that's currently missing. So we really don't know, apart from looking at failures, how secure the supply system actually is.
Thank you. Councillor Leggett?
If you'll indulge me, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to reflect as a not a member of the Audit and Risk Committee, but somebody who goes along regularly. I just wanted to reflect what Grant had said about our independent chair of the Audit and Risk Committee. I think that this council has benefited tremendously by having Warren's experience as independent chair and working alongside Ernst & Young to produce the sorts of results that we see today. And I'm really confident about what we're doing in our systems and processes. And, you know, I think that, you know, we can be proud of that. So thank you, both of you.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay, I will move the annual report. So all those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you. I think we're going into non-public. So I'm going to move, we go into non-public, seconded by Councillor Duncan. All those in favour? I'll just wait for people to leave the chambers.